Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole. My name is Amy, and I will be with you for the show today, this Friday. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us, and how wonderful to start off with a white rhino at Founders Lodge in the Eastern Cape. It's been a while since we've had a rhino here in the shows I've done. So, this is a fantastic start to our show today. Remember, everyone, that this is a live and interactive show. So, please do make sure that you send through any comments and questions you have to me. And you can do so in a variety of different ways, whether it's on the Wild Earth website or the app. You can also chat to me in the YouTube chat stream. Just remember to use @FC if you'd like those comments and questions to come directly to me. Or you can join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth. VC, hello. Thank you for joining us today. It's wonderful to know that you're watching from wherever in the world you are. And I'm just so chuffed to have this white rhino with us. You can actually see the fresh mud that's on its skin, giving it quite a red tinge. The ground here is obviously quite rich in iron oxides, giving it this quite reddish orange color. And it's had a bit of a mud wallow and went to rub up against the tree there. And now it's looking a little bit snoozy. Mercedes, hello. It's always good to know that you're with us. So a very warm welcome to you, and indeed a happy Friday. I hope for those of you who went to do some shopping today, or perhaps you're still heading out over this Black Friday, that you have had success and not too much stress. Although these days, with online shopping available, that makes life a lot easier and simpler. And also, I forgot to say yesterday, but a very happy Thanksgiving to all of the viewers that are in the US and would have been celebrating that yesterday. France, you want to know if there's a reason why we don't hear rhinos vocalizing a lot? I suppose there is a reason. In that they don't need to. Um, I'm not 100% sure if they also create vocalizations that are perhaps below our hearing ability. I haven't heard of that with rhino, though. I know definitely with elephant, but that's not to say that it's not possible. But in general, I suppose the vocalizations I do hear between is often a mother and a calf, or otherwise a female to sort of a bull that maybe is trying to is interested in her. Otherwise, bulls to each other. There's often a lot of big exhales, a lot of sort of nose air that's blown through the nostrils that can make a bit of a sound. And then the little one, when suckling, does a bit of a squeaking noise. But for the most part, they actually are rather quiet animals, something like an elephant. Oh, I don't know what happened there. It almost like something bit it in its bum and it decided to hop around and have a look. Beautiful wagtails that are around here as well. We can see them flying. This looks like one bull, one male rhino that's here resting in the shade of this tree at the moment. Not uncommon for that to be the case, although sometimes we do have crashes, which is the term for a group of rhino, quite appropriate, I think, um, that hang out together. Martin, so when it comes to rhino, they definitely can die from diseases in terms of other causes other than poaching. So, more what we would refer to as natural causes other than being poached for their horns. And yes, I mean, they can suffer from, we have mentioned earlier this week about bovine tuberculosis. So, they can also be infected with that. They can also uh, die from birth complications potentially as well. I believe salmonella is another sort of bacteria that can also um, infect them. So they are vulnerable to other diseases. And I think they are also very sensitive to food or resource availability. And so when it comes to rhino, it does sound like something's at the water. I wonder if there's another rhino there, perhaps, or something else that's drinking. They can actually starve. They can die from starvation. And that is just too much of a rapid loss in body weight that can't be picked up again. And so it's very important in reserves that have rhino that sometimes they have to even supplement their food with lucerne in the winter times, because otherwise they just won't manage to eat enough, or there's not enough grass, with white rhinos being very strict grazers. Not enough of them available. Oh, there is a rhino coming. Oh, does it have a baby? Oh my word, yay! A rhino baby. For those of you who don't know, a baby rhino is just my favorite animal in the whole of the bush. Look how happy it is. To me, they remind me a lot of a puppy. Oh, it is tiny, everyone. Oh my goodness. It's just so cute with its little knobbly nose there. And they can be so curious and sort of run up and have a look around and a sniff, and then quickly run back to mom where they know it's safe. So we'll see how entertaining this little calf is. It might also end up suckling very soon. I think mom wanted a shady spot here. That little face is just too adorable. Oh no, that is so sweet. Almost looks like its nose is where its horn is, and then it has like this very flat, stumpy nose, even though its nostrils are there, sort of above its lips, just like any other rhino. Oh, you coming back to mom? It really is just a little mini me. Oh, you're gonna come for a drink. Come closer. Oh, I think mom's gonna get into the mud, and I think the little one will have some fun here as well. Oh, oh, it slipped. Oh, cute. Ooh, don't know. I think Mom's just a bit skittish with having the little one around. Nothing really to worry about. Or maybe just getting irritated with the oxpeckers. This is such a beautiful view, though. Oh my word, the scenery here is unbelievable. Mimi, it depends. Each reserve will have its own policies for age of being collared, but usually around maybe mark or so, when they need their first bit of, if they are getting dehorned. Otherwise, once they sort of reach that fully independent adult age, I think it's around that age, but each reserve would be different. Oh no, it's leaning up against Mom now. Oh, Mom, why are you moving? It's just cute. Oh, well, Mom and baby are heading off, but there seems to be a lot of rhinos around. This one now underneath the tree here. Not too much shade with this tree, but obviously maybe a good rubbing post for this rhino. Oh, one's in the water. Well, what an amazing start with these rhinos here at Founders. Oh my word. Apparently, there is some more adorableness at King's Camp, so let's head over there. So there's a tiny little one in the middle there that you can see walking away. They've just finished their drink, but it is still very, very small, moving in between there. It's a beautiful day in the low felt, it looks like as well. Well, let's head over to Safari Hook for some birding. Oh, wow. My instinct says tawny eagle, but I'd check that aside in case it's not a steppe eagle. It does look like a tawny though, since that it doesn't extend further than the eye. But just that heaviness of the bill, really iconic head shape as well, and that sort of motley color on the wings. Birds of prey are amazing and so fascinating to look at, and also a little bit tricky when it comes to the brown eagles at this time of year. Well, not even eagles. I mean, we had a European honey buzzard juvenile that is also brown. So there's quite a few, I mean, common buzzards that fall into this brown bird of prey category. And in the summertime, it can get very complicated because they are sort of all similar looking. And also through a camera, it's quite difficult to gauge size, which does make it difficult. But that is looking very much like a tawny eagle with that head shape and dark eye and quite a large bird as well. Oh, there's some oryx around there. Hemsbok on the left. There's the black stork, which seems to be a resident here at the moment. Let's just take a moment to enjoy the sights and sounds here at Safari Hook. Well, one place we haven't visited in a while is Comfort's Dump, so let's head over there for some birds. Oh wow, there is a lot here. We actually used to come here very often, especially when all the flamingos were here. I see one or two, it looks like greater flamingos that are perched with their very long legs. And I know there were a lot of red-knobbed coots around before. There seems to be, I think those are glossy ibises, yes. Some Egyptian geese maybe dotted in between. Definitely two black-winged stilts here on the left-hand side. Or some, those sacred ibises there on the left as well. Wow. It is one of the best birding destinations, especially for some of the waders. It gets a few, quite a lot of variety hanging out here. Remember, we had quite a few grey-headed gulls, I think they are, the sort of lighter grey ones. Ooh, a few sandpipers there. Could actually be little stunts as well, but difficult to say from this distance without seeing the detail. It also looks like quite a few South African shell ducks that are here. The males having the grey head and the females having the whiter face. And this sort of group of darker birds also have quite long legs, but more sort of a bronzy brown color with a very long bills. Those are the glossy ibises. So their cousin, the hardy-dar ibis, is the one that South Africans will know and have a love-hate relationship with. They're sort of this iconic bird, but also are very loud and seem to poop on everybody's cars in town. Oh, exciting. Let's head back over to the beautiful King's Camp with our hunting heron. Now, when you watch a bird like this, oh, look how stealthy it's being. Barely even moves the water as it takes a step. And it will just launch forward and all of a sudden try and catch something in the blink of an eye. Oh, it's moving its head further. Oh, exciting. Oh, as I was about to send us over to a rhino, this heron made a move, but it doesn't look like it's. Oh, oh, it got something. There we go. Small little fish. Lovely. Let's head over to Founders. Well, there we go. We managed to get the heron catch its little fish, and we have a rhino that is wallowing. Now, as entertaining as we find this mud wallowing, it's all about thermoregulation. So it's about cooling down. It's about that lovely mud on their bodies that does help to lower their temperature. But also, second to that, it is about the parasites on their body, the ticks, the flies, that sort of thing, caking them in mud, suffocating them. And then most likely this rhino will go up to that tree, one of the trees around here, and have a good scratch to get that off of its skin. Karen, me too. I could literally just sit with this view for the rest of the show and be so content with life. So, Jono, it's both region and nutrient. So, often the nutrient, or let's say the mineral more than nutrient makeup of the soil, is based on the region. And different regions have sort of different bases depending on sort of the history of that area, whether it was once volcanic or a lot of different things, or whether there's a mountain range and there's sort of sediment that's traveled down and the rock that those mountains are made of. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. But at the end of the day, the color of the soil is simply just very fine rock that's been let's say eroded, or over time has been broken down into the very fine particles that it is. And some are more clayey, so very very fine and stick together. Others are more coarse and granulated, more sandy, and that's all to do with, yes, what's inside of those rocks that have been sort of worn away to form the soil, but then also what those actual rocks are made up of. So if we look at something like igneous rocks that are very, very hard, sedimentaries, which are like your sandstones that are quite soft, and those can break down easily, often nearer to water sources. And then your metamorphic rocks, which transform under heat and pressure, like granite and marble. So often, many within the in the low felt area, we have bases such as basalt and granite. There's also a few other ones that a mixture, whether it's nice or I can't think of the other name now. It's on the tip of my tongue, which more towards the Mozambican border. Um, those are all based from the rock deposit that is in that area, which then leads into the soils. Of course, like I said, it's just the rocks that are broken down, and then that leads to different types of plants, which then leads to different types of animals. So everything really starts with the geology of an area. And so, to your question on whether it's region or nutrient based, um, the color has to do with the mineral in the soil. So, if that answers your question, so in this case, very much more redder soils have higher iron levels in it. And iron oxide, particularly, it's basically rust, if you want to think of it that way. When iron starts to oxidize, it changes color. And so these sort of reddish deposits are that in the soil. Um, Whereas places that are more black or brown, like basalt, very sort of gabbro soils that are very clayey, very dark. They have high deposits of a different mineral. So that's sort of that's what determines the color at the end of the day. Well, this rhino seems to be so content with life now. It's basically changed color entirely. It's now a red rhino, not a white rhino. I wonder if this boy is going to come for a drink or if it might go for a little bit of a rubber-doo now. Wow, he is so muddy. You can just hear it walking as he flicks his tail and moves his legs. Oh, this rock is also a favorite for them to use. I forgot about that. There we go. It's chosen its rubbing post. You can see how this tree has also changed color by all of the rhinos coming to rub on it. I assume mostly rhino. There probably are a few warthogs here or there that rub lower down. Rosie Adams, hello. Yes, it's been a wonderful waterhole so far. It's time is flying by because we've seen so much. And this rhino is now using these sort of overhanging branches to get to the top of it, which I must say, it's probably an area which it doesn't get to reach very often. I just hope the whole tree doesn't fall over. Well, this has just been such a wonderful waterhole to have as part of our show today with these rhinos. And I mean, just look at that view, the cloud reflections in the water. It is beautiful. Let's head over to Rosie's. Hippo is still here, enjoying his waterhole. Joanne, hello. Lovely to hear from you. Thank you for saying hi. And yes, happy Friday to you as well. Danny, yes, they can move their ears. Many of the animals out here actually can move their ears independently of one another. So here you can see that this hippo is pointing its ears more backwards, almost like it's listening to me talking. But they can point their ears in the direction of which the noise is coming from, or an area that they want to listen towards. Hearing not being one of a hippo's strongest senses, just based on its size. Quite small ears in comparison to the rest of its body, which does make them quite amusing to look at. We also managed to get in quite a bit of birding here at Rosie's. I already see some flying around there. We had a whole group of laughing doves around here yesterday. Often, sometimes blue waxbills. We have starlings, sometimes firefinches, even golden breasted buntings that come down to drink. Pat, you wonder why hippos have such large teeth when they don't really need them. And I think what you're referring to there is so hippos have massive tusks. Well, large. No, they're not. I suppose people do call them tusks, but they are dental structures like elephants that come out both the top and the bottom jaw, sort of massive canines. And they are not needed for eating because they are not predators. They eat grass and they just munch away with their lips, actually. And they don't really chew the grass, they just sort of go in. A hippo's teeth are very interesting. Actually, they sort of just have them dotted around in the mouth, other than these four massive sort of tusk teeth that are in the front. And Pat, what they actually need them for is defense. So in that way, they do very much need those teeth. And especially when if we look at male hippos that are fighting for dominance, they use that to be able to defend their territories. And it's what has caused many of the scars that we see on this hippo's back. I can see one there on top of the spine, and a few other puncture marks and things like that. And that would have been formed by the hippos when they sort of bite each other on the backs or scratch. And that is why they need them. And for females, that is part of being able to protect their young. Rosie, it's true. I've had some rather large grey animals today on the show. I mean, we obviously had a lot of rhino action. We've got the hippo here. I have a brief glimpse of some elephants earlier at King's Camp, but I'm sure there'll be some more around at some stage. It's just nice to see this hippo doing quite a lot. Usually it really just lies quite stationary in one spot. Oh, is it going to roll onto its back? I love when hippos do that and you see their feet in the air. Sounds like some magpie shrikes calling, as well as a sterling red warbler there in the background. Oh, wow. Look at that. This is a beautiful view of a hippo. Oh, my word. And it's a really good example of showing you sort of that the ears, the eyes, and the nose of a hippo, as well as a crocodile, actually, are all on the same plane. And what do I mean by that? I mean that they're all in the same line. So as soon as this hippo lifts its head again, whenever it decides to do that, you'll see that it can have its ears, eyes, and nose all above water without really having to expose anything, any other part of its head. And it's the way with these sort of amphibious type of creatures, water based, but also they can move on land, how they've been able to, because they are mammals and, well, the hippo, and need to breathe outside of the water, as is a crocodile, of course, being a reptile, but their senses, the most important three that they need in terms of sight, hearing, and their nose and sense of smell. There we go. You can see they're all above the water together when they lift their head. You see what I'm talking about. Well, I'm so glad that I could point that out to you. And it is amazing how they are aligned. And it just shows how, with being able to keep most of its body underwater or in the water, which is really important for something like a hippo because their skin is so sensitive and needs to stay hydrated, they can just expose those little parts of their body and still be able to sense the most important things that they need to. Let's head over to King's Camp and see what's happening over there. Ah, beautiful terrapin sunning itself here. Look at the detail there we can see. Oh, its little tail as well. And there's a woodland kingfisher calling. I think Chris was saying yesterday that he hadn't heard it. I don't know. I think it was just on the show. And now you can hear them calling beautifully, one responding to another one. You can hear that single note followed by a descending trill. It does seem like we could maybe find this woodland kingfisher. It's very loud. We have seen one here before. Hunting heron is still around here as well. This really is such a beautiful scene here. Goodness me. Oh, there's our terrapin. Still there. Zanandi, you want to know if I think you're referring to the terrapin, how we can tell if it's male or female. I don't actually know. I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's male or female. To me, they look completely identical. And I think similar to that of tortoises, maybe only if you turned one upside down, or there were other features that you could really only see on very close inspection, which of course we wouldn't be able to turn it over or handle them at all, let alone an ethical issue. But also, the terrapins smell foul, to say the least. Wow, what a cool view we have, really being able to get so close to this terrapin and just look at the detail. It's actually quite beautiful. The patterning on its throat and around its cheeks. And incredible eyes, aren't they? Sort of greeny on the edges, sort of going yellow towards the center. And very cute little noses right on the tip of the face there. Two nostrils. Look at that. Actually are very cute, I must say. Interesting again to actually see really close now how it tucks it has to turn its head sideways to fit into its shell rather than just retracting it straight back like a tortoise. A little yawn there. I love it when they move their limbs like that in the air. Somehow it must help them with actually moving. Otherwise, why would they need to do it? Well, I think it must be quite flexible, the neck of this terrapin. I mean, I don't know if it could function as an elastic band or a rubber band, but I do imagine that the fact that they can twist it around so much means that it can move quite a bit. And just by the way it does move it and bend it in, that means that it can turn it basically 90 degrees to the left hand side to tuck it away. You know what, Yvonne? I have thought that it would get stuck. Sometimes it's on a rock, even, or even the back of a hippo. Oh, there's another one. And you think, oh no, but it's balancing on its belly. How is it ever going to move? I mean, I think sometimes maybe they have been stuck, inverted commas, but it just takes a longer time because eventually they can actually swivel themselves pretty well, which is why I think they move their legs in that motion that I find quite entertaining, sort of to get a little bit of movement underneath. And all they need is a slight bit of leverage and then they can move again. They also have their tails to help them, which often we don't think about, but the tail is there beneath the shell. And then it just gets a little bit of grip and can move. So even when you think that all four limbs are in the air and not able to touch down, somehow it always manages to move again. But that's not to say there's never been a case of a terrapin that's been stuck. Here we go. So this is often where you think, okay, That one on the left must be stuck, surely. But somehow they to get themselves out of the predicament they found themselves in. Yes, Lady Macbeth, I also have heard something, I wasn't 100% sure. I think when it comes to the tail of terrapins, the female might have a skinnier tail than the male. I can't say that I've ever purposefully taken of a terrapin's tail, and this is the best view I've ever had of terrapins before, I must say. The terrapin is getting further and further, more slanted towards dropping into the water, I think. It's going to go and plops. Let it towel. The elephants. I was wondering when we're going to film today. We've had so much going on with all sorts of other animals. We've hardly spent any time with it, which is quite amusing. Being that oftentimes our show is filled with lots and ladies. Well, this elephant has been enjoying its grass here and has one very short tusk. In fact, both of them have been used quite a lot. You can see the one on the right is almost shaped like the point of a pencil. little black crake that's cruising around there behind us. Oh, there's two of them. Slightly more slender and smaller in size than the common moor hens that we see. I think there's one standing out there. It's interesting to note. I mean, we always talk about the bulls being larger than the cows when it comes to ellies, but just have a look at that bull there on the right hand side. He's a little bit further off into the distance, but are really really long, and that belly sits far higher up from the ground than the cows that we see. They sort of have a very saggy belly, much shorter legs, even though their body size can be really really big. They just are shorter. That leg length on these bulls can really be quite tall indeed. Rosie, you say yay for Ellies. I know many of you would also be happy to see some elephants today as part of the show. And another fantastic find here at Tau is, of course, the crocodiles that we get to see. And this one is showing off for us today. Really enjoying the sunshine, lying with its mouth open as well, giving us a very good view of its teeth. Now, seeing that little three-banded plover there in the background makes me think sometimes of these crocodiles often lying with their mouths open to allow excess heat to leave their bodies. But I've also seen birds sometimes cleaning their teeth, which is fascinating. Not that I've seen it on this show before, but I do believe that can happen. Very much a symbiotic relationship there, and a lot of trust that the bird puts into a crocodile to not very quickly close its mouth on it. Well, it's always a treat to see a croc moving, and incredible to see actually how agile it can be and then how comfortable it gets once it's in the water. Yes, Sarah, I would say so. All crocodiles do regulate their temperatures in a similar fashion. In fact, all reptiles do. I mean, they are ectothermic, meaning that they rely on the environment for the energy that they need to give their body, to warm up their body temperature, basically. And to regulate that temperature, they lie in the sun to be able to get warm, but then also opening their mouths is a way to cool down, and also perhaps for a crocodile. The water is part of that as well, can help cool them down, as well as with other reptiles. And then, of course, going into a more shady, cool area can also help them do that. With it sort of heading towards the end of the year now, I can't help but reflect on some of the amazing sightings we've had on the Waterhole show over the year, and just being here at town with this crocodile. And I think very much in the same spot, actually, when we had them with that warthog carcass. That was incredible. Well, I do love zebras, and to have actually three of them. It's amazing how the stripes can confuse you. I swore there was four of them, but there's actually only three. It's amazing how the one with the first head down lines up exactly with the stripes of the second ones, which made it look like there was a fourth zebra. Of course, there wasn't. Also, does this elephant mind? We're just trying to enjoy these zebras before they disappear. This Ellie bull is looking very relaxed, resting here. You can see all those muscles in the trunk just completely um, relaxed instead of contracted. And then the tip of that trunk on the ground. Eyes are sort of pretty much closed, having a moment to himself. Let's head to Safari Hook. Oh, a giraffe. This is wonderful. I think it's come to drink. Giraffes notoriously take a very long time before they take the plunge, and sometimes they can be all the way down to the bottom and then decide, nope. Rosie Adams, you are 100% right. The big animals have made it their day to day. Thank you, Rosie, for joining us. We have had a wonderful show today. It really has gone quite quickly. So much variety with a lot of different animals that we've been able to see. Wow, that was quite impressive. How it pulled its legs back together, almost did a bit of a pop up. To everyone who has joined today, thank you so much for your comments and questions. I hope that you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. I have had a fantastic time with you all this week. I should be seeing you soon later on with the Waterhole show. I'll also be back at Juma, so I'm looking forward to being out again on Drive from Sunday. But to everyone else, please enjoy your weekend and have a wonderful day further. Live at the Waterhole will be back as always. And later on this afternoon, be live with Game Drive at 4 p.m. right here on Wild Earth.